Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert from the Business Awards Show, and I'm also the founder of the Best Business Women Awards. And today I am joined by Naomi Haynes from Naomi Haynes Financial Planner, winner of the Best Consumer Business in the Best Business Women Awards 2023. And she's also won a couple of other awards, which we'll talk about later. Now, Naomi is a financial planner and has been in the financial services industry for, well, a long time, way over 20 years. And she's quite unique, really, because she started her business at the very start of lockdown. Her business launched as Boris shut everything down. And she'd spent a whole year taking exams, building everything to get her business to the launch date. The launch date comes and everything shuts down. So Naomi has had an incredible business journey in a very short space of time. So we're going to be talking about that and finding out more about what is going on in the financial industry at the moment. So welcome, Naomi.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Debbie.
So let's start at the beginning. So you had a long career in the financial services industry, and then you decided to train as a financial planner. So talk us through that decision and what happened to you at the start of lockdown.
Yes. Okay. So in 2019, I definitely felt it was time for a change. I'd spent almost a quarter of a century working for an employer. I was working in financial services, and I couldn't see myself doing that for the next 25 years or so. So I thought, look, there's time for a change. I still wanted to work in financial services. I wanted to work somewhere where I had passion to continue. It was all inspired actually through my work when I was working in the city for an employer for diversity throughout my time. So for the last maybe 7 years of when I was working, I set up and started a women's network in the organisation I was working for, and we grew that as a group of, we started off as a group of 5 women working there, and we grew that into an international diversity network over the time that I was there. And I loved that. I loved how I actually felt I was making a difference that way, whereas I wasn't feeling that in my actual day job. And I do remember my husband commenting about, you talk more passionately about your diversity work than you do about your actual job. And so it did get me thinking. It got me thinking about, look, I've been doing this for over 20 years. What am I going to be doing for the next 20 years? I wanted to make a change. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to help people. And that's how the business idea grew. And it grew from that seed of the fact that there's something out there, Debbie, called the gender pension gap. And that is because people like you and me, we're almost like, it's like we're genetically predisposed to have less money to see us through retirement and to see us through our later days, which last longer than men. And actually, we're more expensive because women apparently have higher medical bills and things like that. So for me, I felt that going somewhere where I could make a difference, where I could close that gap, where I could help women, I could help people access finance, access, having that financial well-being that is a lot harder for them to access. So that was how my journey started, and where I thought, right, I want to do this. I want to inspire my children. Got 3 children. I want to start something myself, have that empowerment to be able to help those that I feel and felt needed more of the help. Rather than if you work for an employer, you've got that power building something yourself. And that's where it all started to come together in 2019. And then I started putting it all together, and and that's when my journey began.
Was it quite scary, though, starting to work for yourself, having been wrapped into the corporate world for so long?
Oh my gosh, yes, totally. It still is. It still is scary when you work for yourself and you're kind of, you know, I'm not on my own, and it's still, you know, I still look around me and I wouldn't change it for the world, but it still is very different. It still is very scary. The way it works, as you know, and as probably most people listening to this know, is that there's a lot more uncertainty. And but you know, that also fuels and powers my passion for what I do, and for the fact, you know, making it work and kind of building that into the future.
So how did you navigate those COVID waters in that first few months? Because that must have been like your heart must have sank when all that started to sort of develop and unfold.
Yes and no. Obviously, you spend so long preparing for something. You're really nervous. You're about to launch a business. Is it going to work? What's going to happen? You know, and then something happens in the world and in your life that's unprecedented, never happened before, that you can never predict, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the next day is going to bring. So it was absolutely frightening. It was terrifying. And obviously, everyone, you know, you've got your own lives as well, which was significantly impacted, and suddenly building a business, which was always nerve-wracking, suddenly having to think about the change. But for me, I work best when I'm challenged. So a lot of
Oh,
my previous experience, I was a bond trader. And a bond trader is someone who works, and you kind of, I thrive on, I'm not going to say stress, because no one thrives on stress, but I thrive in stressful situations. And for me, it was that challenge, and I love a challenge. I really do. And it was a challenge, and I took the positives out of it. I took the positives that actually I feel have changed the industry for the better. And I was delighted that I hadn't started my business beforehand, because for so many people that start their business before this big life event and change, you then do have to change the way you're working. For me, it was like, actually, I'm starting all new, but I'm so fortunate that I didn't start a month ago, because if I had started any earlier, it would have been a significant change to start trying to, once you've got that momentum going, right? So for me, I tried to look at the positives, and also it helped me. A lot of people were worried about money. A lot of people were worried about finances and what was going on around them. So it actually allowed me to just, you know, dive in head first and just go, right, this is what I do. I help people understand money, work through their financial situation, plan their financial futures. This is what I know. This is where I can help. And actually, I think it's helped me build a stronger, bigger business because of when I started. So you need to take the positives from all those sorts of situations. But yeah.
well, that's actually really good to hear that actually maybe the pandemic for you was a good thing. Maybe.
Yeah, well, you've
We
got to
won't
take it.
know,
It's got to be,
but
yeah, we'll never
yeah,
know. And
but it
actually,
sounds like
you've got to say that anyway. And I do like having a positive outlook. I try to be,
mm.
I try to be a half full glass sort of person. So you've got to, when it comes to business, I think and in these sort of times, or at least at that sort of time, I think that was the only way I think I could have got through it. So
So what are the common themes that you're seeing with clients coming through with financial questions, problems, etc.? What's the sort of things that you see most commonly?
I think most commonly it's all around pensions. I actually call it the P word, because some people it's like a swear word. It really is. Um, Pensions are complicated. They're difficult to understand. They fill people with dread. They feel that they are something that's way out there in the future that they don't have to worry about. And that tends to be, most things surround that P word, around pension, in some form or another. Not always. A lot of the time it's people just don't understand their finances, want to get things working, but usually it's around the pension. and and that is great from my point of view, because that's where I really feel I can help people kind of get over that get over that P word, worry, and actually embrace it, because I love pensions. I think they're amazing. I think they're life-changing and life-making as well. So
And would you advise anyone who like is sort of lost in the pension maze to come and see somebody like yourself and get advice?
I always say, if you're lost, if you're worried, if you don't understand something, there are so many professionals out there. Seek the help. Seek the help and find someone that's a good fit for you. Find someone that you trust. And yeah, I would definitely say that. So many of my clients, even after a first call, are like, oh my God, a weight has just lifted. I literally, it's just outsource that stress. They're not
Mm,
easy. Don't think it's just you. Don't think that you're that it's got something to do with you. They
mm,
are, money and finance is a world full of jargon, full of complications, and it's one of the largest causes of stress and worry. I mean, most surveys say it is the largest cause of stress and
mm,
worry, relationship breakdowns and everything. So don't pin this on yourself. You're not alone. You're in the majority, and you know, and most people just don't have the time to sort it out. Go seek
mm.
professionals, and there's lots of people out there that help with this sort of stuff. So definitely.
Yeah, because especially if you've changed jobs a lot of times, you can end up with lots of different pension pots. And then when
Yes,
you work for yourself, if you don't understand the tax breaks of paying into a pension, because not everyone goes and gets an accountant. But there are some
absolutely.
massive benefits, aren't there, as a business owner putting into a pension?
There really are, as a business owner, whether you're a sole trader, a limited company, in a partnership, however you work, there are significant benefits to paying into a pension that aren't just about, oh, well, I'm going to have my state pension, or I'm going to, without having to think about what the future will hold, that can help you significantly here and now. And people don't realize that. And also, what people don't realize, you said before that people, I think, is it the average person has, I've seen data that says anywhere between 5 and 13 jobs in a lifetime, or something like
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
And so if you can imagine how many pensions people build up, and every pension will unlikely be similar to each other.
Mm, mm,
Some of them may even have guarantees or protections in place, and a lot of people don't realize that. And if they think, I can do this myself, and then they go and do something and move all their pensions, they actually, in some cases, may have kind of lost themselves that
mm.
money or those protections that were there, without even knowing or realizing or
Mm.
understanding it. So yes, pensions are great for so many reasons, and not just for your future retirement. So
Yeah, I always say to people, like, would you go off and just start trying to build a house yourself if you're not a builder? I mean,
yeah,
it's always about specialisms at the end of the day. And I think we live in a society now where people think they can do everything themselves because everything's
yes.
online. And the danger
Mm.
with that is you end up down a rabbit hole where you actually don't know what you're doing, and you can actually cause your long-term financial wealth more damage trying to do things yourself than getting the help of an expert like you who's taken exams and things and has to be registered.
No, that's very, very true. I mean, I did a accounting and finance degree, and I know numbers. I still have a bookkeeper, um, do my numbers, and an accountant,
Mm,
because it allows me to focus on what's actually is important, but
mhm.
also that's what they're good at. They're going to do it better than me. They're going to do it quicker than me as well. And everyone's time is precious. So definitely, I'm a big fan of finding the experts. They're experts for a reason.
Before the call, I had a little look back
Yeah.
at the judges' notes last
Oh
year,
yeah.
because that gave me a bit of a steer on why they chose you for the best
Mm.
consumer winner. And what shone out was your wonderful customer service and your attitude to business. And clearly, you've charted a good path. So, what sort of things do you do with your customers that kind of really make them feel safe and secure working with you?
It's a really good question. I guess for me, it's really important that they know that they can contact me whenever. And this isn't just for clients, these are for potential clients or people who aren't sure. I am there to translate the jargon. And it's not just in an annual meeting, it's a regular meeting. I stay in touch with them, I help them through it. I do try and translate and bring it, make it down to earth and understandable what they're doing. I always follow up every meeting with a translation of these. This is the follow-ups, this is my homework, this is what, this will be great if you can do this. And I'm there to support them through all of it. It's not transactional. And I always say right at the beginning, check if we're a good fit. You need to like me, because you're going to be stuck with me. And I say it, I'm like, you're going to be stuck with me. I'm not just going to be here to sort your pensions out or to open you an investment, whatever it is. This is a journey, and I'm here with you along that journey. So you have a worry, you have a sleepless night about money, you just shouldn't do if I'm around. You call me. Every single client is different. Every single client will have a different a different approach by me. So I think it's really important that I kind of work out what works best for a client, what is better for them, and I help them through it, and I give them the time. I like to write them birthday cards and kind of just make sure that during a special happy or not so happy occasion that I'm there for them as well, and that they know that I can support them. And how I know it's working is that I get a phone call, or I get a message, or I get a text or an email or something from a client with a question, I've got this in the post. It's got nothing to do with even sometimes finance, but it's got nothing to do with what I do, or it does, but it's like, I've got this in the post. What does it mean? I saw this in the news. What does it mean? And it's like, okay, this person trusts me and I'm there. And it could be literally anything from my lawyer won't pick up the phone to I trying to get building regs on my house, or from my kind of literally, or it's like, my bank statement, what does this mean? So yeah.
So you're like a customer service advice line for all things.
Don't say that on a recorded podcast. Everyone will think that. No,
we'll edit
no,
that.
I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
Well,
no,
I
of
can
course,
see,
but that is what I'm here for. So.
Yeah, I can see why you've built this business so successfully in such a short space of time, really. So that brings us to talk a bit about awards. So you entered the Shining Star Awards with Business Women Unlimited back in 2021. Have I got that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. So that was your first toe in the water of business awards.
It was. Yeah.
How did that feel, writing an application for that and sharing what you'd achieved so far?
Oh, totally overwhelming. Because also, you were talking about getting the experts to do what the experts do, like writing in general, get kind of like essay things. Numbers are my thing. So just writing something like that anyway, about, not necessarily, I'm not writing about pensions, which I could probably write about all day, but I was writing about me and my business, so it was quite uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest, it was probably even a bit overwhelming, and when I say a bit, I mean it in the English way. That was difficult. So I remember, I think if I remember correctly, I probably submitted the entry right at the last minute, because not because I hadn't started it early enough, but because there was a lot of writing it, going back to it, changing it, going back to it, trying to find what I felt worked and made the most sense. So yeah, but it was also exciting. It was like, but then it was also like, should I be doing this? Am I really worthy? It's that classic imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome creeping in.
Definitely. So but obviously the end result was absolutely amazing. So it definitely was worth it, and gave me the confidence to kind of continue on that journey for awards.
So then you went for national, for the Best Business Women Awards.
Yes.
So how did that feel? Because that's obviously a lot more detail needed for that.
That was definitely a lot tougher. It was tough. Again, the number of rewrites, the number of people I had helping look at it, kind of helping me with it as well. But again, for that one, I put my hands up, and I got help people to try and make sure that I could express myself, from family, friends, and and experts in the field. So to kind of everyone from that point of view. Yeah, I was doing it though, not with the expectation that I'd actually win. So it was more about just, I think it's a journey for me as well. It was a big journey for me to be able to sit there and go, look how far I've come in a short period of time, but look how far I have come, and I'm applying for this award, and I need to be able to be positive about myself and to bang my own drum. And actually it was really powerful from that point of view. It was kind of like when I looked at my entry at the end, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself. Actually, I have achieved something. So it really, really was like, it was a journey for me, definitely. But obviously I'm delighted that I went through that one. So, but yeah,
I remember looking at the footage of you, because you genuinely were shocked, I think, that you
yeah,
won.
no, I was. I didn't even I told my husband, because my husband was with me, and so and he was very excited. He was like, oh my God, it's like the Oscars, it's a real proper award night. We were all very excited, and he was like, shall I video when they announce your ones? And I was like, no, don't, because A, I'm not going to win, and then B, it looks a bit presumptuous, and so it was like, he did video it, by the way, so but yeah, and it really was, I really was like not expecting it. So yeah.
Oh, and it's such a lovely feeling, isn't it? I think that standing on stage, that moment where you sort of walk up to the stage, you're in a bit of shock, and then you get on the stage, and it's like, oh my God, I always feel emotional if I win an award, because I always think that is the kind of recognition for all those tough days and hard nights.
Oh my God. It also helped me seek clarity on everything as well. It was like, yes, this is it. You go through things. Do you think you should change your business? Do you think you should do this? Is this working? Whatever. And that night was amazing for me. Just go, yes, this is it. And actually a lot has changed since that award ceremony in my business as well, because of it.
Oh, so tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, so after that award ceremony, I was, it just solidified everything about the journey I'm going on, and it really helped me with my business plan. So my plan for 2024 was, right, I want to build this female-led advice business. I want to build something that can help so many people out there. And I have hired a full-time practice manager who will be starting in 6 weeks, and basically my business is on a growth journey, and the ideas and what I've got for that are changing and evolving. And I definitely think that award has been a springboard for my success, and that ability, and giving me the confidence to actually go, right, I suddenly know who I want to hire, the sort of person I want to build my business, and the sort of business I want to build. So very, very, it was a big catalyst for me, actually. So yeah.
That's brilliant. Okay, so we always like to finish the podcast talking about business tips. So I think kind of, you're literally coming up, well, you're about hitting your 4th anniversary, or you just have hit your 4th anniversary.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening to this and they're in that early stage, what advice would you give them?
Okay, so for everybody, make sure you have an emergency fund, a rainy day fund, a buffer, however you look at it. If you're starting a business, have one for your business as well. Okay, so really important, that emergency fund needs to be easily accessible, but a little bit out of sight and out of mind as well. It's there for an emergency, and that's it. Doesn't have to be large, it has to be what helps you sleep at night, but it needs to be built up over time. So I'd say definitely have that buffer. I have one at home for the family. So if anything were to happen, the boiler breaks down. It's the classic example, isn't it? But you suddenly need to come up with it's not just like £100, but you suddenly need to come up with £5,000 for something. That money is not going to come out of thin air, particularly if you're building a business. So I'd also say with your business, something can come out of thin air. The computer can stop working, or whatever it is that you use or need, you need that money. So build it up. Doesn't have to be, if you've got nothing, don't worry. I'd say build it up slowly, bit by bit. I would say for anyone self-employed, there are two main areas that I would look at after emergency fund. You can obviously look at everything at the same time. You don't have to do this all in stage. You can build an emergency fund at the same point. When you are starting a business, you do not have an employer to pay sick pay. You do not have an employer to auto-enroll you into a pension. And also, you probably don't have steady income. So pensions are going to be the last thing on your mind. Now, you mentioned it before, Debbie, but pensions are not just there to kind of save for the future. For me, a pension is about helping you save for tax. It will reduce your tax bill. And so I'd say start something. It does not have to be large. It can be teeny tiny, even if it's not actually into a pension, even if it's into a savings account, just to get a habit building, because you can do it in multiple ways. You can either do it an amount per month, but for us self-employed, what you may want to do is when you get some income coming in, is put that down into percentages. Maybe you put a certain percentage into your emergency fund, a certain percentage into your pension, a certain percentage into a tax fund. Definitely have a savings account where you put in, let's say you put 20% into there, every income that comes through your door, so that when it's time to pay tax, and by the way, anyone starting out, paying tax is the best thing ever. Congratulations, if you're paying tax, it means your business is doing well enough to pay tax. So that's a celebration, and it's a celebration also to be able to pay into a pension as well. So I'd say look at getting protection, sick pay. Don't, look at getting starting a pension, even if it's teeny amounts just of money that comes in. Set up a tax fund and make sure you've got that emergency fund buffer for business and for home life as well. So those are the big things. There's loads of things, and Debbie, I could go on for ages, but I'd say is a real important starter. Start there.
Yeah, because I think when people start a business, they focus a lot on the business, but they tend to forget about their own personal financial situation. And I often work with businesses that then say, oh, I got this tax bill and I hadn't put any money aside, and oh, I'm now, sick and I've got no critical illness cover in place. And I was lucky, and well, not lucky because I had an accident, but critical illness cover for me made a huge difference, because if I hadn't had that in place, I'd be surviving on statutory sick pay, which was about £80 a week or something, during this was a couple of years ago, and I was out of action for 12 weeks having a major operation. So you need to think about these things, because we don't have that blanket of that comfort blanket that an employer provides for you, and sick pay.
Definitely.
So yeah, good advice. Well, Naomi, it's been brilliant talking to you today and talking about your business journey. And I think you're very inspirational, because, starting a business at the start of lockdown, you could have gone, oh, blow this, I'll just go back to work for a while, or I'll leave it for now, put it to one side. And you didn't, and you powered through it, and you've built a really successful business, something to be extremely proud of. And well done to you for winning Best Consumer Business, because that wasn't an easy award to win, believe me. There were some amazing women in that category.
Thank you.
And I think putting yourself out there is the key thing that's driven you forwards, to be honest with you. You're a great networker as well, fantastic networker. And we wish you continued success with your business.
Thank you so much for everything and your support, Debbie. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
You too.